Hey, how's it going, lads and lasses? I'm going a bit back to my roots here with this figure review, because we finally got a figure review for some Predator figures. Predator is my favorite franchise. I love the movies for the most part. I love the comics, I love the video games, and so that's, it's pretty obvious that it's what I base a lot of the things that throughout the years this channel has kind of gone over, be that figure reviews. When I was doing Call of Duty Black Ops emblem videos, I did a lot of Predator emblems. So it's just, it means a lot to me. I'm kind of upset Disney has the license now since they bought Fox, but that's a conversation for another day. Let's focus on these figures. So these are the Hiya, I say Hiya Toys Alien vs. Predator figures from the first Alien vs. Predator movie. I was looking forward to these, so I figured I would just do a video of all three of them at once because they're pretty similar. I'll just show Scar here, and then we'll get a close-up of each of them, but I'll use Scar to show the articulation. So we got I think we actually have a double-jointed neck. I know on other Hiya Predator molds, there's one right at the base of the neck, like a ball joint, and then there's one where the neck meets the deltoids. So it just kind of increases the range of motion. These arms can rotate 360 degrees, but the shoulder plates, they kind of limit that, so I'm not really going to bother. And then you got rotation there, where the bicep meets the shoulder. You just have single jointed elbows on these ones, but both of the wrist gauntlets they're separate pieces, so you can rotate them around. I don't know if that was the case on past ones. I feel like at least for the Predators ones, I know that they were just molded right in. So it's kind of nice to be able to, like if you wanted to do something like that, you can. The wrist blades, they pop out just a little bit. Nothing substantial. They almost might as well not even bothered really. Little ball joint on the wrist there. We have ball joint on the torso, and we also have one on the waist there. It's a little inhibited by, you have this sort of sash on both the front and the back for Scar. It's just on the back for Celtic and Chopper back there. If we look at the waist, there's a little bit, it's inhibited a lot, but there's a little bit of rotation right up there. And then, like I said, a lot is inhibiting that motion there, so it can't kick out very far. You're not going to be able to do the splits with this figure. But you do have double jointed knees. The top joint's a little stiff, but the bottom one's fine. And you'll get plenty of range of motion there. And then I think you just have like a swivel and a rotation on the ankle there. Nothing too spectacular. It's actually a little bit of a pain. So let's take a closer look at Scar while we've got him here. Oh, I forgot the plasma caster has 3 points there. You got one swivel closer to the base, then like a mid swivel. So you can kind of do something like that. And then it rotates up at the top. And that's pretty much it for articulation. So we look at Scar. He's got his clan mark that he gives himself there with the face hugger claw, and it's got the standard, this is basically an updated version of the Jungle Hunter mask, which is kind of like the standard issue variant of the Yautwa mask, however you want to pronounce that. That's how I go with it. And then of course we have this little necklace bandolier thing of small trophies. And then Scar is the only one who has the sash on the front here. The rest just have them on the back. Okay, let's take a look at Celtic. Celtic's kind of got something weird, this weird two-tone thing going on with his mask. I'm going to use this as a pointer. The front, like the face guard part, is a little bit shinier than the rest. That's not really accurate to the movie. I don't know if they're two separate parts. I don't see why they would be. But it is fairly noticeable that they're two-tone. And I don't think they are two separate parts. I think it's just a weird thing with their paint apps. He also has this necklace here of small trophies. Now we can move on to Chopper. So Chopper is he has sort of a more advanced version of the standard issue mask. It's much more decorative and ornate. He has a necklace too, but his is a little bit different than Celtic's. Celtic's has 3 trophies on it. His has 4. And it's a little bit different. So they did go through the effort of making a separate necklace mold for Chopper there. Okay, we're going to go on to accessories here, and they all have pretty much the same accessories except for Chopper, so I'll go over his last. With Scar and Celtic, you have 2 sets of combi sticks. They're spears. You have a collapsed one, and I have Celtic holding the fully extended one. And there is a space on the back for those to fit, like the collapsed one right there, as you can see. But it doesn't fit very well. It kind of... It's a little too narrow for the combi staff to fit in there, the combi stick, whatever you want to call it. And it just kind of shoots it out. It's almost spring-loaded. So I just didn't really bother. You have their smart disc shuriken that they use, the unique style that they used in AVP. All of them have 2 alternate hands, so it's kind of light for Hiya toys on the alternate hands. Usually you get a few. We only get 2, one for each hand there. And then they each get a stand, this kind of metal grate style. It should have been more of a stone to represent the pyramid. And then you get these H clips to kind of connect them together. Now, Chopper doesn't get the combi stick. What he gets is these little mounted skulls. And he gets 2 of them. I have one of them on his back right now. The other one can kind of fit on the plasma caster, but if he gets bumped just a little bit, it just falls off. So when I display him, I'll put it on there, but for now, I'm just leaving it off. So I'm going to do kind of a too long don't read here. I'll give my recommendation real quick before I kind of go into a few more details about this. I would definitely recommend these figures. Not quite as highly as I would recommend some of the other Hiya Toys Predators, though. And the reason for that is, what I will say is the detail's great. They look cool, but at the same time, they're proportioned weird. They kind of look like a dwarf. They look like dwarves, like Lord of the Rings dwarves. Just with how they're proportioned, I think what it is they made the bulkier bodies because in AVP those Predators are bulkier, but they didn't account for the fact that they're also going to have like plate bodies, and that adds to the bulkiness, so you kind of get this just these dwarf proportions where they just look really stocky, and they're a little bit short because they didn't make them taller. They're not taller than, say, City Hunter or Jungle Hunter, which are, part of the same line. They're about the same size. So it just adds to that. It makes them look stocky, and you can't really tell in the video here. When you get them in hand, you'll see what I mean. That aside, I still would recommend these. They're still really cool. So that kind of concludes the too long don't read there, and I'll get into a bit more details with that now. I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with Hiya Toys, and that's for a couple of reasons, really. The main one is that they love to announce about 50 Predators at once that won't come out for like 2 years. It feels like, it does feel like 2 years ago they announced like the Wolf Predator and a few others, and Wolf still hasn't come out yet. And they just have this long list of pre-orders that are just kind of on the backlog, and then they'll announce more, and I'm like, you still haven't gotten through the ones that you announced a year ago yet. Why do you keep announcing more? That's just something that frustrates me about them. And then the second is they have sort of spotty quality control. It varies from figure to figure. City Hunter was the first one that I got, and I'm super happy with that one. It's definitely one of the best ones that they've done. It looks cool. It's got good articulation. The quality was good on that one. The mold was good. The detail's good. I love it. Then I got Shaman, because he's my favorite of the Lost Tribe, just because he's like a hardcore goth Yao Twa. I think that's cool. And I'm happy with that one too. Maybe even happier than I am with the City Hunter, because just something about him, like the proportions and the detail, it just worked for me. I did have to do a bit of repainting, if I recall, though, because I think the head was a different color than the body for whatever reason. So I did have to do that, like fix that. But other than that, it's still a really cool looking figure. And then they had the Predators. So, Berserker, Tracker, Falconer, and I got Berserker and Tracker. I didn't bother with Falconer just because I don't like his design. But those are really cool, especially Berserker is my favorite that they've done. And honestly, one of my favorite figures of Berserker, period. Just because they made him look menacing and badass, and that's what he embodies. Was just this menacing badass that he just instilled fear when you looked at him, and that's what I really liked about his design, and I feel like they captured that. And where I started really questioning their quality control, though, was with Jungle Hunter. Jungle Hunter's the one who started it all. That's the one that you should really put your all into, because especially a lot of companies, they'll just make Jungle Hunter, and that'll be the end of it, because that's the main one. They didn't really do all that well with at least the first release of Jungle Hunter. It was taken from a Lost Tribe mold, because there are some Lost Tribe members that have some of the Jungle Hunter armor pieces, and you can tell they just kind of used those, because it's not really accurate. Like his wrist computer gauntlet has wrappings on it. He doesn't have that in the movie. He doesn't have any, I don't know if you'd call them I guess you'd call them like sandals. In the first Predator movie, Jungle Hunter has those sandals on his feet, and they didn't bother to make new feet with those sandals on it. So those are just completely absent, and the proportions are weird on that one. Like, it has a really tall, skinny neck. The head just doesn't sit right on it. The arms just seem kind of weird. And so that's when I started questioning their quality control a bit. And it's kind of continued with these AVP figures, both with the dwarf proportions, and if you'll take a look here, this is what happened with my Chopper figure. I can't explain accurately what this is. It looks like there's almost too much material on the inside of the ball joint here, and yet it's really loose to the point where I can pop it off fairly easily. So I don't know what the deal is with that. It wasn't worth sending it back to get another one to me, because they're at the point where they're a little hard to come by. I just didn't want to risk it, especially because Chopper's my least favorite of the three, and he's one that I'll just pose and be done with it. So it's a serviceable enough joint that I don't have to worry about that. But it just, it added to my quality control concerns as far as Hiya Toys goes. To sort of add to my review, I would still recommend these figures because they're still cool, especially if you love the first AVP movie. but I wouldn't overpay for them. I wouldn't pay scalper price. I wouldn't pay scalper prices for anything anyways, but you know, sometimes it's worth it if it's just like $5 more or a couple bucks more or something like that. I would only pay retail for these, which is $25. I wouldn't pay more than that unless, you know, the added cost is shipping. But $25 is the most that I would pay for these guys, 25 each. So that's about it. You can get them, you know, Big Bad Toy Store, I think, still has a couple of them in stock. Entertainment Earth might still have them. Amazon, I think, is your best bet at this point because they've been out a while. And last I checked, Amazon still had at least Chopper and Scar. I don't know about Celtic. And you could probably find them on any of the other online toy retailers, but those are the main ones that I check. So that's going to do it for this video, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.